missing link, please welcome distinguished Toastmaster, accredited speaker, Mr. Wayne Choate.
Well, Pat, thank you very much for that very nice introduction. And good morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning. I just wonder. Could I have your attention here this morning? Could I?
Yeah. No.
Oh, I really would like to have your attention. Because in just the few minutes that you and I spend together here today, I plan to extend an invitation to each one of you to go to places that you've never visited. I plan to extend an invitation to each one of you to reach out for recognition and achievement that you may have never received. And Pat, when I decided to speak here this morning on the subject of teamwork and winning, I couldn't help but to think back to the time when I was first introduced to the missing link in winning. And I'd just like to tell you about it here this morning. And the reason why I would like to tell you about it, and the reason why I think it's so important that you stay with me, well, it's because I am just like all of you. I have witnessed on a number of occasions individuals with an abundance of talent. Individuals who apply that good, strong, solid work ethic. Individuals who take time out of their busy schedules to get those advanced degrees and to join organizations like Toastmasters in the hopes of developing those skills that would allow them to go to places they've never visited. Well, I happen to believe strongly that the reason why so many of these people are unable to achieve all they want in life was because they've never been really introduced to the missing link in winning. And so I'd just like to tell you about it here today. So sit back and relax and let me unfold for you how I was first introduced to the missing link in winning. It had a dramatic, a positive effect on my life. Might just affect you the same way. So stay with me just for a few minutes. Now, in order to tell you how I was first introduced to the missing link, I have to take you back just a few years, back to when I was in high school. Okay, so maybe that is just a few more years than just a few years ago. But go back with me now to the year 1958. I do not want to hurt anyone's feelings. But I have looked around this room pretty carefully. And some of you can get back to 1958 with me without a whole lot of trouble. In fact, my good friend Hank Johnson, 1948 wasn't a bad year either, was it, Hank?
No, it was a good year.
But the year was 1958, and it was a great year. In 1958, I was a junior at East Nashville High School. And all during my days at East High, I played on the basketball team. We were known as the East High Eagles. Now, the Eagles never had a winning basketball team, but we never had a losing team either. You might say that we had a respectable basketball team. Our arch rival in basketball was only 6 miles down the road, and that was Isaac Litton High. And I mentioned arch rival Isaac Litton here today only so I could tell you one thing. And that is to say that every basketball season, one thing was certain. Not only would Isaac Litton beat the East High Eagles, they would embarrass us. But finally, in my senior year of high school, the Eagles put together one of the finest basketball teams that the state of Tennessee had ever witnessed. There was not a team in that entire state that could move the ball faster, run the plays more precisely, or go to the baskets more accurately than the East High Eagles. There was not a team in that entire state that could work together more cohesively as a unit, as a team, than the East High Eagles. While we were rapidly becoming a powerhouse in the state of Tennessee that year, we had won our first 7 conference games, and we won them easily. And we could see that we were going to go undefeated that year, and that no one was going to beat the East High Eagles that year, and we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait until the night that arch rival Isaac Litton would be coming to our gymnasium. Oh, we were going to take out all those years of losing, all of those years of being embarrassed on that Isaac Litton team. Finally, that much awaited night arrived, and Isaac Litton came to the East High gym, and we had not entered into that game for just a very few minutes until we realized something was wrong. And the something that was wrong was the fact that, well, it was the fact that Isaac Litton was beating the East High Eagles. It's almost as if the entire East High team had all said the same thing. For this one time, for this one game, I won't play as a team member, but I'll play as an individual in hopes that I could get my name in the paper, possibly my picture, saying that I had single-handedly beat arch rival Isaac Litton. By halftime, that kind of an attitude had gotten us a halftime score. Now hear this, a halftime score of 57-17. Isaac Litton was embarrassing the East High Eagles once again. Now, for those of you who have ever played basketball or any sports at all, you might just relate to my next comment. We dreaded our trip down to the locker room at halftime. And we dreaded it because we knew Coach Martin was going to introduce all of us to a brand new segment of the English language. We knew that he was going to take out all of his anger, all of his disappointment on each one of us. But when Coach Martin walked into that locker room, he surprised us. Because instead of shouting and screaming and cussing, he went directly to the chalkboard. And he started diagramming all the plays that we'd been running in that first half. He indicated when we should be making our cuts, when we should be making the breaks, when we should be going to the baskets, and when we should be taking our shots. He said that he recognized that we were not playing as a team, as the cohesive unit that had won those previous 7 conference games. But then he said, now is the time. Now is the time for the East High Eagles to go back upstairs into that gymnasium and to believe that you can run these plays. He said, now is the time for the East High Eagles to go back upstairs and to believe you can make the cuts, to make the breaks, and to make the shots. And then he said, now is the time. Now is the time for the East High Eagles to go back upstairs into that gymnasium and to believe you're not going to let Isaac Litton embarrass you here tonight. Well, about that time, Jim Cochran, the captain of our basketball team, 6'7", a gifted athlete, he stood up and he said, but Coach, we've been running all these same plays in the first half and they're not working. Are we going to do something different so that we can beat Isaac Litton? Are we going to do something different so that we can win? I'll never forget what Coach Martin said. He said, Jim, I'm not asking you to win. I'm asking you to believe. To believe in yourself, to believe in our team, and to believe in our objective. And then he said, Jim, if you or any other East High Eagles, if you cannot do that, then I want you to stay in the locker room. There was an eternity of silence. But as all of our eyes met each other's in that deafening silence, it seemed like an eternity. Finally, it was Jim Cochran who broke the silence. And he broke it by saying 2 words. In Herbie, he said them in good old Southern English. He said, let's get them. 2 words.
2 words.
Let's get them. Now, all of the East High Eagles went back upstairs into that gymnasium that night. But to this day, I wish I could have sat in the stands instead of play on the court. Because I believe those fans were privileged. Privileged to have witnessed what can truly happen to an individual and to a team that incorporates that missing link, which is believing. Now, I don't know if Coach Martin had ever had any classes in psychology. If I had to be real honest with you, I'd have to tell you that, well, I'd have to tell you that I doubt if he could even spell the word. But you know, that very special man introduced us that night to one of the most important elements, to one of the most important ingredients to winning that we could have ever received. Well, you see, although the East High Eagles did not embarrass Isaac Litton as we had hoped and even as we had planned, but we did overcome that 40-point deficit, and we won.
Wow.
And we won because a man introduced us to the power and to the magic of believing. Now that was my introduction to the missing link. Pretty dramatic introduction for a 17, 18-year-old boy, you might agree. Now I mentioned to all of you at the start of this speech that I was going to extend a couple of invitations to you. You may recall I was going to extend an invitation to you to go to places that you've never visited. And I believe and believe strongly that you can go to places that you've never dreamed possible by just reminding yourself on a daily basis that there truly is power and magic in believing. So I extend that invitation to each one of you. I also mentioned I was going to invite you all to reach out for recognition and achievement that you may have never received. And I extend that invitation to you too. And I believe you can gain more recognition and achieve more by remembering none of us goes through this world alone. We all belong to teams, don't we, Dana? Whether it be our family team, our church team, our business team, why even our Toastmaster team. And you know, it's that unselfish giving. That unselfish giving to each one of these teams can allow you to go higher and achieve more recognition than you ever dreamed possible. Now, along about now, there may be one or two of you sitting out there thinking, well, this is just a bunch of Pollyanna. And if you're thinking that, then you're wrong. Because one quick look at our history book tells us that we have individuals over here with an abundance of talent. Individuals who have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Then we have individuals over here who are limited in their education and their status in life. But don't we see individuals going to great heights, going to places they never visit from both sides of the spectrum, don't we? Why, just to prove it, all we have to do is go back to Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, I wish you could have been there with me. Louisville, Kentucky, a few short years ago was the site of our Toastmasters International Convention. That was the year that we gave the golden gavel to Les Brown. Les Brown, you've all seen him on PBS. Les Brown walked into that packed banquet hall. We gave him that golden gavel, which of course is the highest honor given to a non-Toastmaster for their contribution to communication and leadership development in our country. And after we gave him that golden gavel, Les Brown stepped to the microphone and he proceeded to deliver what I consider to be an icebreaker. He told that audience how he was born in an abandoned shack, how he was then later adopted, how he was then labeled as mentally retarded. That's what they called it back then. They said he was mentally retarded. But Les Brown told us how he went on to become a tremendous radio personality, then a TV personality, then he wrote a book, then he became a state legislator, and now he's probably one of the most premier platform speakers, motivational speakers in our nation today. So don't tell me it's a bunch of Pollyanna. Tell it to Les Brown. It's almost as if Les Brown was in that locker room with us when Coach Martin told us we needed to believe. It's almost as if Les Brown was saying these words: the only chains and shackles that will hold any of us back from any of our goals, our dreams, our aspirations are the chains and shackles that we ourselves forge in the fires of doubt and hammer out on the anvil of lack of belief. Well, that was my introduction to the missing link. Those are my invitations to all of you. And now I'm reminded of what Mark Twain said many years ago. He said, we cannot remember everything that we know. We have to be reminded. And that's really all I wanted to do here today. I was hoping maybe to inspire you a little bit. I was hoping maybe to challenge you a little bit. But most of all, I wanted to remind you that there truly is power and magic in believing. Mr. Toastmaster.